And so, it begins. Dark were the skies and chill was the wind as the land was covered in a veil of malice. Across the hill did ride a dread army of the night, cloaked in mist and fog, prepared to rain down death and destruction upon the land. And the people did cry out for a savior, a noble soul to save them from their impending demise. Just as it seemed all was lost, in strode a mighty hero, clad in shivering metal from head to toe. Wielding a terrible broadsword, he did cleave his foes in two, smashing their ranks asunder with righteous fury. And when the day was done and the enemy strewn across the fields in pieces, the people did turn to the warrior and say, "We shall name this day in your honor. Speak unto us your wisdom." The warrior said one word that day: epic.
One man, one Murloc, one giant angry badger. This is Blue Plz. It begins now. Yes, indeed, folks. You are tuned into the one and only Blue Plz here on WoW Radio with myself, TotalBiscuit. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the show. And what a wonderful show we have coming up for you today. And there are an awful lot of listeners here, so the nerves should be getting to me, which makes me a little bit more hyper, a little bit more excitable. That's kind of not necessarily a good thing, but there you go. Coming up in this week's show, we have the one and only Nubcake News. This is coming up later, and of course, something you've all been waiting for, at least I hope most of you have been waiting for, the announcement of the winners of the Pass the Torch contest. We have not one, but not two, but 20. That is 20. That's 02 backwards. WWI cards to give away, but that is not all. Coming up a little bit later on the show, my very special guest, one of the founding members of Gamespy, the creator of the Flintlocke comic series. It's the one and only Fargo. He'll be coming on live on the air to answer your questions and mine a little bit later on in the show. And if you want to ask him questions, you have the opportunity to do so. All you need to do is log into IRC. What is IRC? It's Internet Relay Chat. It's a place where we sit and chat all day for no apparent reason. You can be there too. You can be one of our little clique. And not really so little anymore. Go to irc.mmoirc.com. That's hash or pound WoW Radio. That's the channel name. If you have an IRC client. If you have an IRC client, I'm sure you know what to do. If you don't, well, there's an easy way to do it. Go to our website, click the IRC and chat button at the top of the screen, or download MIRC. That's mirc.com. And put in the details I've just given you. That's irc.mmoirc.com, hash or pound WoW Radio. Now, there will be 3 people taking questions and relaying them onto me. Those people are our IRC reps, our beautiful assistants, none of which I would want to see in a dress. I've got to get that out right now, just to make sure you guys don't get confused. Those 3 people are Cooked Auto, MT, and Zephyric. That's Cooked Auto, MT, and Zephyric. Those are our 3 IRC representatives. If you want to send a question into Fargo for the second part of the interview today, you can do so. You've got to get an IRC to do that, though. So get in IRC, that's irc.mmoirc.com, hash or pound WoW Radio. Okay, I think that's enough of that. Now, how do we start Blue Plz? Well, we start Blue Plz by playing a brand new sound effect. Yes, I did say a brand new sound effect, so not an old one like this. Even though I really, really like that sound effect. Definitely not something like this.
Vegeta, what does the scouter say about his power level?
No, in fact, I have this.
Mail time.
That sounds like it's mail time. Here's the mail.
It never fails.
It makes me want to wag my tail. When it comes,
I want to wail.
Are you embarrassed yet? Because I am. It's mail time! Yes, indeed. Over the week, you've been sending me emails, and I've been picking out the choice ones. And by choice, I don't necessarily mean good. I just mean like, wow, they really sat down and spent the time to write this. Now, if you want to enter mail time, you've got approximately 10 minutes to do so. You can send me an email, and if it's good enough, and if I have time, I will read it. Yes, I will. Now, The first email I got over the course of the week was beyond bizarre. It's beyond odd. It's just unbelievably silly in pretty much every respect. So, I am going to read that for you. Now, let's find it. Here we go. Let's see, where is it? There. Okay. Now, this is kind of weird. I have changed the names in this just to protect the identities of the people responsible. I have absolutely no idea whether or not this was serious at all. It was sent to me, and it was sent to Jen. So it was sent to station management, and it's kind of bizarre. Let me put it that way. So I'm going to read this one for you. I really don't know what to say to this. It's crazy. So here we go. This is from an anonymous person. I'm not going to name names, and I'm certainly not going to give out their phone number live on air, because that would be incredibly irresponsible. Now, here we go. If this sounds like a plea for help, that's because it is. The only request I have, though, is for you to read this email through without passing judgments and without you hitting the delete button before you read it all. My boyfriend, who we will call Bob, and his two brothers have been playing WoW for 2 years. They are pretty good, considering I know nothing about the game, except that his brothers get mad whenever Bob isn't playing because of me. Honestly, I've never been supportive of Bob's playing, seeing how it is kind of, dare I say, all the time. Eventually, I've come to understand that this game was more than a game to Bob and his brothers. 5 years ago, all of Bob's family was shocked to hear that his dad was having an affair. After the divorce of his parents, Bob's family spiraled out of control. Nothing ever seems right anymore, everything was falling apart. I don't think they've ever really recovered. When they first witnessed WoW for the first time, the boys thought it wasn't anything they would be into. Boy, were they wrong. They found WoW, like most, an escape. This escape could never replace what was going on in reality for them, but it could lessen the blow and take their mind off what's been haunting them for years. WoW had become their safe haven. Now, Bob is a great guy. His brothers are amazing. They have very little to their name, so they can't afford to move out. Bob is between schools right now and waiting for acceptance to a film school. Bob never asks for anything and rarely buys anything for himself. When he told me about BlizzCon, I honestly thought he was kidding. I guess not. His eyes lit up when he told me about it, and I could see that this was something he was really passionate about. Since he never gets to do anything with his brothers besides sit at the computer, BlizzCon would be the perfect event for them to go and enjoy, along with other people that are interested in the same thing. When tickets went on sale, Bob was willing to spend his last $300 for the month and buy the tickets so his brothers and him could go. Unfortunately, the site was down half of the time, and Bob was only able to place an order but not confirm it. Needless to say, tickets sold out instantly. It was the one thing that I have ever seen Bob get so excited about. He was willing to spend the rest of his money just to get there. It broke my heart to see him like that. This is where I need your help. Due to my recent events, Bob is furious with me. I, to say the least, effed up and possibly ruined our relationship. Now, if he doesn't want me back, I want to know that he got to go to BlizzCon with his brothers. And if I could be the one to help him, that would mean everything to me. Because he is everything to me. It's funny, because the game we always fought about is now turning out to be the game that I need to help me win him back. Please help me. And now, I must say, what am I exactly supposed to say to that? I mean, that is possibly either the most elaborate phishing attempt I have ever seen, to the point where they actually put in their phone number at the bottom. I kid you not, their phone number of all things. Their actual phone number. And real name at the bottom of the email. Or it's a desperate cry for help, which, honestly, we can't do an awful lot about. Now, we'll be talking about the BlizzCon ticket debacle a little bit later on, and it's indeed this email that kind of got me onto this subject and got me thinking about BlizzCon tickets and the amount of people that must have been disappointed by the whole thing that's been going on. But this is just crazy stuff. I mean, what are you supposed to say to something like that? I mean, really, it's insane. But if this is true, then I must say to the anonymous person, my heart does go out to you. Unfortunately, we don't even have enough BlizzCon tickets to get ourselves there, let alone anybody else at the moment, so I'm afraid you're going to have to ask elsewhere. Now, if any other fan sites got a hold of this and they're listening to the show right now, please email me, themurloc@gmail.com. That is themurloc@gmail.com. Let me know, because I want to know whether or not this has gone out to everyone, or whether this is actually a genuine plea for help. As I kind of feel a little bit guilty for not being able to do anything about it, so it's an incredibly good phishing attempt, if it really is one. Now, on to more emails, yes. Now, this is kind of along the lines of generic fan mail, but you know what, it's kind of nice to have it every now and again, so I'm going to read it out. And This one is from a fellow by the name of Corpse Bride on Twilight's Hammer EU, and he says this: Hello, TB. I don't know where to start. Let us see. I have sent you an email earlier, but after you returned with Blue Plz, I felt I had to thank you for the work you do around World of Warcraft. I can honestly say that you are one of the reasons I play WoW still. Because when I'm tired, I sit down and tune into WoW Radio and log on to WoW. There you are, and the other shows. My view on this game is a hardcore one, and I care very much about the game in general. But I'm not able to raid hardcore. Too late in the expansion, so no need for an undergeared mage, even with Spellfire. When I started playing around patch 2.2/3, yes indeed, I'm a very new player, I was playing a hunter. Yes, I was a huntard. I sat and played my level 19 hunter, trying to catch up on knowledge with people around me. They just downed Vash, or maybe that was later, I really can't remember. But I wanted to play the game while learning, so I heard about podcasts, and I honestly don't know how I did it, but I stumbled over Blue Plz. Well, I don't know how you did it either. Why would you stumble upon Blue Plz for educational podcasting? About as far away from that as you could possibly imagine. Anyway, he says, I listened to this every time I could, so I just sat playing my level 19 hunter, hearing you ranting about AQ and such stuff. I honestly didn't know what you were talking about, but it was interesting. Yeah, if you heard me ranting about AQ in the Burning Crusade, then yeah, you wouldn't have a clue. By now you may have realised I'm not English, I'm Norwegian. Any flaws in my English and grammar can be helpfully sent to the Norwegian school system. Well, you know what? To be honest, that's better than 95% of the emails that I get as regards to grammatically. Now, he says, continue on, I hope that I haven't bored you yet. I play my Mage Corpse Bride on Twilight's Hammer EU. I've yet to clear anything but Karazhan. I've re-rolled the Shadow Priest. Yeah, I know, not real DPS. It's probably boring, but would you give a shout-out to me and Jelani on Twilight's Hammer? It would really make my day. Well, there you go. I'm a nice person, see? I actually go out and say, hey, fan mail, let's read it. But yeah, it's kind of nice to receive stuff like that, but yeah, I don't know why, it always confuses me why people talk about, well, I listen to podcasts to learn how to play the game and all that kind of thing. Well, yeah, I think, to be honest, my podcast is most guilty of not helping you play the game. I mean, out of all of the podcasts out there, I think mine is probably the worst when it comes to telling you how to play the game. I mean, a little bit of history. The only class I've ever played in WoW is a Mage, and I played it from day one launch, EU. And I've played a Mage on EU side, Alliance, and actually no, it was Horde. And then I played American side on Alliance side. So I've got two Mages, both level 70, one retired, one not. And literally, that's the only perspective I've ever really seen the game from, aside from discussing with my wife and guildmates. That I have a very, very narrow perspective on how WoW should be played. So when it comes to educational value coming out of these podcasts, you're really not going to learn anything. All you're going to learn is the fact that old, jaded WoW players tend to be very, very cynical about things, and to be honest, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because it is nice to be able to criticize the game. It's not like you don't like the game. No. If we didn't like the game, we wouldn't be playing it, but the fact of the matter is that the game can get a little bit boring, and it's flawed. I mean, it really, really is flawed. It is clearly flawed. There's a lot of problems with it, and it's nice to be able to hear from someone who actually is willing to tell you what the problems are and maybe how to fix them. That's just how the community works, so I'll let you go. Now, let's go to our mailbag and see if we've got anybody else. Yes, apparently I am gay. That's from Pete Barron. Yeah, I think he's a little bit jealous, I'm sorry I'm married, I really can't be with you right now. I'm sorry. That one night with the Hypnol, I apologize, it was a mistake. Honestly, we all do things that we really didn't mean to do. And, just that one night I was off my face, completely drunk, and, the whole penis thing, very, very sorry. But anyway. Now, we've got another email here from Maurice, who is the proud raid leader and officer of Andromeda, Stormrage EU, and he's saying, Hi TB, I was wondering if you had time to share your thoughts on the Mage raiding outlook in Wrath of the Lich King with the current talent and spell propositions. I'd especially like to hear your thoughts on the future of Deep Fire build for PvE and whether or not you find Frost Firebolt and the Elemental build which accompanies it an exciting new option or just a shift away from Deep Fire towards Elemental. Well, I've already kind of covered this last week, so I'll just go briefly into it. Right now, you can look at what all of the big guilds say, and I'm not even just talking about the big guilds. A lot of raiding guilds are saying that mages right now, at the current state of play, even in TBC, are not very good, and the Wrath of the Lich King expansion right now is really doing nothing to fix it, because they've bungled Arcane. Some of the talents in Frost are just ridiculous, and they really don't help you with raiding at all, and Living Bomb is just probably the stupidest thing I've ever seen. I think they've tried to be a little bit too general with the trees, and as a result, it's very difficult to get a good build that doesn't actually involve using Frost Firebolt. I think they've come up with this new gimmick and said, hey, we've got Frost Firebolt here, that means you can go hybrid, and pretty much everyone's going to end up going hybrid. To be honest, it's a little bit too early to say. I'm going to be brutally honest here, it's way too early to actually make a sound commentary on it. But all I can say right now is that they really do need to rethink what they're doing. As a DPS class, I've often seen with a lot of puzzlement the fact that hybrid classes always seem to get good talent revisions, to the point where they make it very, very clear what each tree is supposed to do, and the talents synergize very well together. When it comes to actual pure damage classes, it's not really the case. You've always got trees that are just not quite as useful in meaningful content, and of course by meaningful I mean either arenas or raids, which are the two things which really matter in WoW, and everything else is just fluff that can really be done with any spec, just at varying different speeds. So it's always really got on my nerves, to be honest, that they can't figure that one out, and I really do hope they manage it with Wrath. You know, we're giving them a chance for TBC, and they did manage to make some of the trees more useful than they had been, but it seems to be a lot more focused on hybrids than pure damage classes, and as a pure damage class, I am blatantly biased, and of course that upsets me. Now, just before I go to the music break, I've got to tell you that, yes, if you want to enter the Pass the Torch contest, you've got about 15 minutes. Yep, that is 15 minutes to do so. I will allow you to do that. Now, if you want to enter, this is what you have to do. Go to our front page and check out, there's a link there. It's wcradio.com/entry.php. Now, if you've already entered, I would recommend that you not do this, because if you do, you will be banned from the contest. Yes, indeed, we have like 5 or 6 systems in place to ban you from the contest if you try to double verify, so please don't do that. So go to entry.php if you haven't already entered. This is only for the people who haven't already entered. Fill out the form and make sure you put your country and your valid postal address, and in the entry box put the 5-letter secret phrase that we've announced over the course of this week. Put it in there. You've got 15 minutes. Follow the instructions. You'll then get a verification email. You've got to go through all of that. Better be quick about it, because I am going to be closing the box in 15 minutes' time after the next talkie-talkie segment. Yes, indeed. You're listening to Blue Plz here on WoW Radio. Coming up very, very soon, live interview with the one and only Fargo, creator of Flintlocke Comics and one of the founding members of the Gamespy network. I'll be right back after this, folks. This is a little bit of Captain Dan. Sea Monsters. Enjoy.
Monsters in the waters, endless counts of horrific manslaughter. Sailors tell tales of beasts on the sea. What they don't tell you is that the worst one is me. You hear stories of monsters in the waters, endless counts of horrific manslaughter. Sailors tell tales of beasts on the sea. What they don't tell you is that the worst one is me. What we gonna do with sea monsters? What we gonna do with sea monsters? What we gonna do with sea monsters? We gonna kill them and grill them. We be the nautical monsters. What we gonna do with sea monsters? What we gonna do with sea monsters? What we gonna do with sea monsters? We gonna kill them and grill them. We be the nautical monsters. Smacking the kraken and on his flesh we be snacking. The pepper we packin's enough to burn up and blacken. The sea monsters be a meal I agree. Chum in the breeze just fills me with glee. We hunt off the keys, harpoons off the beam. We live off the scream and eat off the ski. A feast for me party, this is my fate for me hearty. Saltwater safari, giant squid calamari. Leviathan chowder and monster crab cakes. Our guns filled with powder, blow up serpent snakes. Scurvy mates be the bait, there will be no debate. Throw them over with weights and then the bites we await. To fish giant sturgeons we use them fair virgins. They always be yearning for fresh meat submerged. Great whites never put up a great fight. They might if me crew hadn't taken a bite by the night. That's right. What we gonna do with sea monsters? What we gonna do with sea monsters? What we gonna do with sea monsters? We gonna kill them and grill them. We be the nautical monsters. What we gonna do with sea monsters? What we gonna do with sea monsters? What we gonna do with sea monsters? We gonna kill them and grill them. We be the nautical monsters. I bitch slap Leviathan in his chin, wipe off his smug little grin, send him for a spin back to where he's been. He tried to win, but his eye is thin like the Kraken, who I tore limb from limb, from limb from limb. On a whim, snapped him like a Slim Jim, much to his chagrin. What's a has-been? Chase his blood with gin. Sea monsters just can't win. I've made giant squid on endangered species. Shyla, please, I killed her with these. Sea monsters freeze when they see me on the seas. When it comes to slaying them, I've got the expertise. I'm the greatest terror in all the ocean. Move over Tiamat, this is your demotion. I skinned the Yakumama and turned it to lotion. My rhymes keep the ocean in motion. What we gonna do with sea monsters? What we gonna do with sea monsters? What we gonna do with sea monsters? We gonna kill them and grill them. We be the nautical monsters. You hear stories of monsters in the waters, endless counts of horrific manslaughter. Sailors tell tales of beasts on the sea. What they don't tell you is that the worst one is me. You hear stories of monsters in the waters, endless counts of horrific manslaughter. Sailors tell tales of beasts on the sea. What they don't tell you is that the worst one is me.
What we gonna do with sea monsters? What we gonna do with sea monsters? What we gonna do with sea monsters? We gonna kill them and grill them, we be the nautical lobsters. What we gonna do with sea monsters? What we gonna do with sea monsters? What we gonna do with sea monsters? We gonna kill them and grill them, we be the nautical lobsters.
Let's face it, everywhere you go, you see adverts for Ventrilo server providers. With so many to choose from, how do you make the decision about which is right for you and your guild? To help you with the decision, we brought in WoW Radio's very own bleeding edge hardcore raiders to show you which provider the world's top players trust.
Loot the stupid car hound!
No. Tank it over there. You're setting the raid on fire.
Someone pulled ads, guys!
Oh, for God's sakes! Heal the tank! Heal the tank!
Hey guys, it's okay to DI the tank, right?
Why are you smiting and not healing?
Is that a halibut? Are you DPSing with a halibut?
Leave George alone! You'll hurt his feelings!
You named that halibut?
Guys, I think we're wiping.
What gave you that idea?
Well, we're all standing in the graveyard arguing. UGT Ventrilo servers, the only choice for the elite of the elite. Hi, I'm TotalBiscuit, the best and sexiest mage on the planet. When you're like me, you don't have downtime between raids and promotional photo shoots. That's why I use UGT Ventrilo servers. I don't have to get my hands dirty trying to fix a broken server, because it was never broken to begin with. UGT servers provide crystal clear voice communication with excellent hands-on support to make sure your server is always up and running. Not only that, their prices are so low, I was able to use the extra money to buy this £32 salmon. What, you didn't think I was going to be outdone by Dustin, did you? Hey guys, want to run some BRD? Get your premium quality Ventrilo server from UGTservers.com. Be the best. Well, second best. Yes, indeed, folks. You're tuned into Blue Plz here on WoW Radio with myself, TotalBiscuit. And only 15 minutes until the Fargo interview. Yes, indeed, the Fargo interview. I'm going to give you 5 minutes from now. Currently, on my clock, it says 17, 51, and 15 seconds. In 5 minutes, I am closing the entry box to the Pass the Torch contest. Yes, I am closing it, so you better get to it very, very quickly. If you never received a verification email from the start, you need to go to entry.php. That's wcradio.com/entry.php and enter there. You've got like 4.5 minutes, so I would be very, very quick indeed if you want to get entered into the random draw. Now, the email that we got earlier, the crazy, either you're very, very unlucky and very, very, I wouldn't say pitiful, but, you know, I can kind of sympathize with the whole situation, or you're the biggest troll ever, reminded me of the BlizzCon ticket issue. And by issue, of course, a lot of people are calling it a disaster, a debacle. All of these other crazy words that they just dug out of the thesaurus in order to sound clever. Now, here's the deal. BlizzCon is going on October the 11th, if I recall correctly. October the 11th, October the 12th, or 10th or 11th, I can't really remember which, in Anaheim, California, in the Anaheim Convention Center. Now, what is BlizzCon? BlizzCon is a big fan meet crossed with a kind of press conference and all of this other cool events that are going on for people that like Blizzard games. Now, historically, it's mostly been about WoW, although there's been elements of StarCraft. There's always been Warcraft 3 and StarCraft tournaments. The first time we went, we actually got to play StarCraft Ghost, which wasn't as bad as people claimed it was. Obviously, it's now been cancelled, so shame about that. And, of course, last time people went, they got to see a lot about StarCraft 2 and the expansion. And this year, we're expecting, of course, much show information, and hopefully playtime of Diablo 3. Now, they expanded the amount of people that could go because loads and loads of people wanted to go. An awful lot of people. Now, I think they underestimate just how many, because they managed to sell out their tickets in 8 minutes. Yes, they did, 8 minutes. And usually you'd say, well, okay, fine, they sold out the tickets in 8 minutes. That's nothing unusual. I mean, big concerts and gigs with popular bands and all that kind of thing, they sell out that quickly all the time. Now, the problem is that it did so in 8 minutes over the course of 2 days. The rest of the time, the website was broken down or ended up charging one of our listeners 58 times. Yes, I am not kidding. 58 charges on his credit card in order to try and actually buy a ticket. Now, why Blizzard decided to do it themselves rather than actually put it through, say, Ticketmaster or anyone that's remotely used to handling these kind of things, I really do not know. And there are some conspiracy theories flying around, particularly that scalpers had already scripted out the website. And as soon as the tickets went on sale, scalpers ran a load of automated scripts, which is what caused the website to crash. And ticket scalpers are the ones that ended up walking away with the tickets. Now, of course, that's just a conspiracy theory, and I've really got nothing to prove it, but it does seem to be relatively likely. Now, there has been a response, indeed, from Blizzard. Their PR manager, by the name of Sean Dameron, who we have spoken to, and I am a big fan of. I like Sean. Sean's a great guy. And this comes from the OC Register, the Orange County news source. I'm going to be reading this, and I'm going to be commenting on the state of the ticket sale system over the next 15 or so minutes. So, if you are sitting company? What? Sitting company? What am I talking about? Sitting comfortably! Then I will begin. Now, he said this. The issues that people faced were due to an incredible rush to purchase tickets. Last year, we sold about 2 tickets per minute, selling out in 72 hours. Now, I seem to recall, actually, that it was a lot quicker than that. I remember buying tickets then, but the thing is, they released the tickets in waves, so it was a little bit easier. Now, he said this, of course, and then said that 50% more tickets were available this year, and they sold out in a combined total of 15 minutes. This meant that thousands of people were trying to purchase tickets at the same time, so some people were not able to get all the way through the purchase process before the tickets had been sold out. Now, yes, we've actually heard about that. We've heard about people saying that they got through to the end and said, the status of the items in your shopping cart has changed. And by changed, of course, we mean, yeah, you can't have it, which is harsh, to say the least. Now, he says this, any idea how many requests you were hit with to bring the system down? Well, he says that they don't have an exact number, but it's safe to assume that it was well into the thousands. Well, yeah, I imagine that it was well into the thousands, to be honest, but then again, it would hardly be the first time that sites have been brought down due to rushes. Now, of course, there are many and varied ways to ensure that that doesn't happen. So, I'd like to know, let's see if the rest of this article has any information as to why this happened in the first place. Now, question that was asked. Last year it took 3 days to sell out 8,000 tickets. Sounds like many, many more fans wanted tickets this year. What was the difference this year? And he said, most likely it has to do with the fact that we currently have more announced games in development than ever before. The second World of Warcraft expansion is in beta testing, StarCraft 2 is well into development, and we recently announced Diablo 3 at our worldwide invitational event in Paris. Our goal was to address additional demand by adding another convention hall and 50% more tickets, but clearly that wasn't enough. We'll continue to review the entire process in order to better address these issues for future Blizzard events. Now, I mean, I'm not sure that I am entirely buying the whole, false modesty thing. Well, we didn't know so many people want to be there. I mean, to be honest, BlizzCon, with the downfall of E3, is becoming one of the biggest gaming events of the year. I mean, it really is, alongside Comic-Con, Gen Con, and all that kind of thing. It's becoming one of the largest video game enthusiast events of the year, and it's not just general gaming. I mean, that's what makes it really surprising. You're dealing with Blizzard games only, mostly WoW fans, some StarCraft fans, and Diablo fans, of course, but mostly WoW fans. Now, that is actually shocking. The size, I mean, I was at the first BlizzCon back in 2005, and there were a lot of people there, and the tickets sold out, I think it was probably about over the course of a week. And a lot of people still said they wanted to go. Now, the year after that, they sold out even quicker. And it just seems very odd to me that they thought an extra 50% would be enough. I mean, to me, it seems like this entire thing could be run in multiple locations. I mean, they could not so much go on tour with it, but at least have one on East Coast and one on West Coast. I mean, it's obvious the demand is there, because they opened the WWI, and it all sold out very, very fast. And the WWI isn't even as good as BlizzCon. I mean, the WWI was like a BlizzCon light. It was mostly tournament-based. There was some WoW information. There was some panels. There was some stuff about Diablo 3. Obviously, quite surprisingly, they did a big announcement over there, which means that it's going to be interesting to see whether or not they actually have a big announcement for this BlizzCon in October. But I think that should have demonstrated that there is a huge, huge following that are willing to go to BlizzCon, even with the current state of air travel being as expensive as it is, and of course gas prices in the United States. There was a huge, huge audience for it, so it just seems very odd to me that they wouldn't bother. I mean, I don't know whether or not BlizzCon is actually making money. I mean, they're charging $100 a ticket, and they've currently sold, I mean, last year they sold 8,000. 50% more than 8,000. So you're looking at 12,000, and then they're saying an extra 3,000, and I'll come on to those 3,000 in a minute. So you're looking at 15,000 times by 100. You can do the math yourself. Now, if the convention is really costing more than that, then I'd like to know where the money's actually going, especially bearing in mind that every product that's on the floor in BlizzCon is paying to be there. Yeah? We know this because we've tried to get a booth on the BlizzCon floor before, and you're looking at a bare minimum of $10,000 to actually do that. Now, that's fine, because, that's how conventions work, and I'm certainly not going to blame Blizzard for that. That's a great way of making money. It's also a great way of creating partnerships and affiliations with popular gaming products. So, yeah, conventions are always about the swag, aside from the panels and all the other stuff. So, buying stuff at the convention, completely normal. Selling stuff at a convention, again, completely normal. But what it does bring to the forefront is just how much do these things cost that they can't afford to do another one. Whether or not they can't afford to do another one, or whether they're just either not willing or just don't think it's worthwhile, I really do not know. Obviously, I can't really speculate on the whole thing. But it does seem to me rather odd that they haven't at least considered it, especially after the hit of WWI. Now, the 3,000 tickets that I just mentioned, let me fill you in on what's going to be happening with that. The next question on this particular Q&A was this. Lots of complaints from frustrated fans who stayed up for 2 days refreshing their screens, getting tickets into their carts and then nothing. Will they have any recourse? Now, Sean says this. We plan to make 3,000 more tickets available for purchasing via a drawing. We will have more details on that soon, but it's important to note that only players who created a Blizzard account for the online store by the time the sold-out message was posted on Tuesday will be eligible to purchase any of the tickets available in the drawing. Having a drawing will help us avoid the rush to buy tickets that's resulted in people not being able to get all the way through the purchase process. Now, as to how this is exactly going to work, they have not entirely revealed it. The way that I think it's going to work is simply this. I think they're going to be announcing it, and they're going to give you a few days to enter into the lottery if you have a valid Blizzard account and you have had one since August 12th. And once they've done that, they will then basically do the drawing. They'll give several days, because the site will go down on the first attempt, inevitably. So they'll give several days for people to enter, and then they'll basically do a raffle prize-style drawing. You'll have about 24 hours to purchase your ticket, and if you don't, it will go on to the next one in the line. That, I think, is how they're going to be doing it. At least, that's how I would do it. That makes sense. Now, I'm not really going to complain at this idea, because, to be honest, is there a fairer way? Now, you might say that, well, the people who got there first should get them first. Well, to be honest, that really isn't necessarily a fair thing. It's not to say that, hey, I'm the biggest Blizzard fan ever, so I should get the ticket. That's just not how it works at all. Now, it's unfortunate that you can't get everyone into this, but, conventions are very, very finite. The Anaheim Convention Center is relatively large, but it's certainly not the largest convention center ever, and you have a limited capacity. It's really that simple. There's not a lot you can really do about that, other than have more events. And, even stuff like Gen Con and Comic Con do not have multiple events. They're all in the same place every year, and they're huge conventions. So, for Blizzard to actually go and say, hey, okay, well, we'll do conventions in multiple locations would be not unprecedented, but certainly relatively rare, especially for a very niche convention. So I can kind of understand that. I think the lottery system is a good way to do it. Now, what really pleases me about this whole thing, and yes, there is actually something to please me about this whole thing, even though most people have been saying, well, this is a disaster, this is a debacle, Blizzard, what are you doing, is the fact that Mike Morhaime had the balls to apologize. And to me, that is a big thing. And I've just been informed, of course, that Gen Con does have multiple locations. That's entirely my fault. I've never, of course, been there before, because I've only been in the States for a year. I'm an idiot! I will say that out loud right on the air. I'm an idiot. But what I will say, of course, is that most conventions do not have multiple locations. So yeah, maybe BlizzCon could. Anyway, back to the state of Mike Morhaime. Now, Mike Morhaime issued what, to me, seemed like a pretty damn sincere apology. And that takes balls. That really does. It takes balls to actually get up and say, sorry. We really didn't do too well with this. Now, if you want to read the apology, there's a really good post on WoW Insider, and you can go read there if you wish, or you can go onto blizzard.com/BlizzCon, and he posted what he calls a personal apology. And it's a nice little statement. I'll read it out for you. And it says this: Blizzard gamers, on behalf of everyone at Blizzard, I want to apologize for the challenges and frustrations you experienced while trying to purchase BlizzCon tickets on Monday and Tuesday. BlizzCon is about the positive experiences you all have had with Blizzard games. As a result of this week's events, the excitement that many of you have felt has turned into dissatisfaction and disappointment. Due to those circumstances, we have re-evaluated our convention hall space and come up with some solutions that will allow us to offer 3,000 more tickets for sale. This won't be enough to satisfy the very high level of demand, but we want to ensure that BlizzCon remains a great experience for those who are able to attend. We'll be selling these as part of a lottery, and we'll be finalising our plans at a later date. Yours sincerely, Mike Morhaime. Now, I'm cool with that. And you know me, I'm very, very critical of anything that PR guys have to say. Even though I like Sean, I'll happily criticize whatever PR guys have to say, especially when it comes from Mike Morhaime. But to be quite honest, I'm pretty much cool with how they said that. I'm fine with it. They messed up. They really messed up, and no one's going to defend that. But the thing is, they're not defending it either. They're not coming up with excuses or anything like that. Even the PR guys, even Sean isn't coming up with excuses and saying, well, you know, this happened. No, it's just like, we screwed up, we're sorry, we're going to try and make it better. And I think, hopefully what can come from this, a very positive thing that can come from this, is the fact that Blizzard will realise, they will actually realise that BlizzCon is a heck of a lot more popular than they might think, and that next year multiple locations probably a very good idea. Get that into your heads, guys, seriously. If you can get an East Coast and the West Coast, that would be a great start for the US, and of course make sure the WI comes back to Europe, because obviously people want to be there. And people might ask me, well, why do you want to go to BlizzCon so much? Because I'm excited about BlizzCon, I'm excited about going this year, and to me, I don't know, it's just, there's something about BlizzCon that is very exciting to me, and I suppose it's about the whole social aspect of WoW actually being given physical form. Now, I've always been a great advocate for the social values of WoW and the actual benefits that socializing in an MMORPG can provide, as opposed to real-world social activity. You know, I think both should mix, certainly, but usually with MMOs, you're pretty much stuck with one or the other. Now, BlizzCon gives an opportunity for them to mix and for you to meet people and people who have similar beliefs to you and just have a good time. Have a good time in it's not so much of a magical environment, but it's certainly a very unusual environment, and you can really get into the whole sway of things and really just, without a care in the world, have a good time, play some good games, and meet some good people, have a few drinks, buy some swag, listen to some cool panels, hear some cool announcements first, and just be swept away in the whole experience. And I think that's a very, very positive thing. So I hope to see you guys at BlizzCon this year, and what I will say is that we will be broadcasting for BlizzCon this year. I can guarantee that. We haven't quite confirmed our plans as of yet, but what we do know is we have permission to broadcast, so any of you who either can't or won't afford DirecTV, well, you'll be getting free coverage from us. Oh yes, you will. So stay tuned on WCRadio.com and keep an eye on the website for information on that coming sometime at a later date. Now, I've given you a little bit more time than I said I would, so I am now going to say that after 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, the contest is now closed. Email box is closing now, there will be no more entrants, and in the next half an hour, that means me and Fargo will be announcing the winners! Yes, the winners of the contest, and it's going to be great. I'm going to be right back after this with the one and only Fargo, one of the founders of Gamespy and the creator of Flintlocke Comics. I'll be asking him about the future of Flintlocke, as well as the Gamespy network, and his opinions on World of Warcraft. And you can ask a question in IRC. You've got to message Cooked Auto, MT, or Zephyrek with a question, and they will send the good questions to me in the second half of the interview. My name is TotalBiscuit. This is Blue Plz. This is WoW Radio. Here's a little bit of Red Alert 2 music. Frank Klepacki, a genius as far as I'm concerned. This is Hell March 2, and I'll be right back with a Fargo interview, live on WoW Radio. Enjoy. Yes, indeed, folks. You are tuned into WoW Radio. My name is TotalBiscuit, and this is Blue Plz. And as promised, I have a very special interview for all of you. Yes, indeed. The one and only Fargo, also known as Dave Kosak. He's from Gamespy, and I'd like to give him the opportunity to introduce himself to you.
Hello, TotalBiscuit.
Hello
hey,
there.
Actually, I really wanted to know what the story is behind the name TotalBiscuit.
Story behind the name TotalBiscuit.
I have to think you were sitting there and you thought, biscuit! And then you thought to yourself, no, not biscuit enough. And then you went the next level.
Yes, evolving all the way through to the epitome of what a biscuit could be. That sounds exciting. Unfortunately, it was actually stolen from a Terry Pratchett novel, so I'm sorry to disappoint you there. Oh well, never mind. We can't all have exciting names like Fargo. Now, speaking of Fargo, who are you? Introduce yourself to the listeners, just in case there are some, very, very old souls, or otherwise we've got a few hermits living in the mountains and really don't know who you are, so tell them.
So my real name is Dave Kosak, and I'm an executive editor for Gamespy.com. Actually, one of the game's founders. I moved out to California some 11 years ago now, and we just started up a company. We just loved playing Quake online was how the company started, and we thought, well, what can we do with this? And we started websites, we started playing QuakeCom, and eventually started doing software. We started doing technology for online games, and pretty soon, we're Gamespy.
Wow, that's pretty cool. And as I recall, you've got pretty big now.
So we merged with IGN in 2003, I think. So that pretty much made us the biggest web gaming network. And then if that wasn't big enough, then we got bought by what I affectionately call the Man. And I think 2005 or 2006, News Corp came along and said, we like the internet. And they bought us and MySpace at almost the same time. So so that's craziness. Yeah.
Yeah, so you've become something of a media mogul now then.
Somewhat. Rupert Murdoch signs my checks. That's a little weird for me, but I'll take it.
Yeah, that could freak you out. Never mind.
We call him Uncle Rupert around here.
I'm sure he very much appreciates that. Now,
yeah, he's going to fire me now that's on the air.
Oh, dear. Oh, well, never mind. You don't work for us. We don't pay as well, but we have a bit of fun. Now, Flintlocke. You're on here to talk about Flintlocke. Now, introduce Flintlocke for those of us who haven't had the pleasure of reading it.
Absolutely. So, back in 2004, when shortly after World of Warcraft came out, I started a comic on Gamespy.com. Readers know I do a weekly column called Planet Fargo. In fact, I'm doing the Team Fortress Olympics is this week's topic. I did a couple columns about World of Warcraft that featured a certain dwarf named Flintlocke, and he caught on. The character was really popular, and people liked what I was doing with it. I was having a lot of fun with it, and plus I was playing WoW like 24 hours a day. So I thought, hey, why don't I, pretend I'm working and actually make this a strip? So around 2005, we launched it as a daily comic and posted Flintlocke on weekdays until around 2007, and we can talk about how it petered out. But so recently what we did is we took the archives of Flintlocke and republished them, and I'm back in the saddle, so to speak, and we're kicking up a new comic. It was popular enough. We're gonna go back and start it up again. So kind of doing the media tour here, talking to everybody about the comic, giving fans a chance to kind of voice out what they thought about it, and then going forward with a new strip.
Sounds excellent. Now, your comic's kind of unique in the fact that it seems to have been recorded live, as it were. Now, that makes no sense in the concept of comics, but from what I could see from reading it, and I used to be a big Flintlocke fan back in the day, it seemed to me that you had various characters pose in game, and you took screenshots and then added speech bubbles. Is that how you actually did it?
Still frame machinima, I guess you would call it. That's how I originally did it. So you can do a lot with that. I think it's a credit to the Blizzard's animation team that the characters are so expressive that you can take screenshots of the /talk animation and make it look like they have any expression on their face. So I did that for a while. And one of the fun things is reading through the script and trying to guess where I was doing nothing but pure screenshots and where I started to fake it and where I started to get crafty and do other things. So for the first, I'd say 6 months of the comic or so, it was all screenshots. Sometimes, I posed the characters, took a lot of screenshots of them, and sometimes just crop them out to put them in different situations. But and then eventually I started. I discovered the World of Warcraft model viewer that a bunch of your listeners are probably familiar with, which is awesome, by the way. And I started using that, and that allowed me to pretty much pose any pose I wanted, use any gear I wanted, and then creatively it really took off. So it's fun to kind of go through the archives and find out when I discovered it, and you can start to see the whole strip kind of takes on a new life as we can do more and more with it.
Yeah, now, wouldn't drawing it have been a hell of a lot easier?
Yeah, you think so? Finding an artist is hella hard, as I discovered, and I don't have necessarily the artistic talent to really convey the majesty of the Warcraft world with my crude stick figures. So I started using screenshots because, I mean, that's easier for me, and I'm pretty handy with Photoshop, so I was able to pretty quickly produce some comics this way, and I kind of got a rhythm with it. I can crank them out pretty fast. So I think it's easier to use the screenshots, and I wish I had an artist to prove me wrong.
Yeah, well, tell me about the last panel then, because that looks a little bit arty to me. What's the story behind that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, actually, for the last, what happened was since founding Gamespy, I've moved around different departments in the company since we founded. I did the marketing for a while. I did marketing for our technology. I did all of our web development for a while, and I decided to try a new job over in the digital distribution department there, where we run File Planet and Direct to Drive, and that just didn't give me time to do the comic, the editorial feature anymore. So what I was looking for was an artist to really take up the torch and do the art, and I would just do the writing. And wow, it was really hard. And I searched for like 6 months, and I found a couple good candidates. And if you actually read through the archives now, in my commentary section at the bottom, I actually describe the artists that I found. One of them, named Erin Mundell, just did a fantastic kind of curvy, artsy drawing of the characters that I really liked, and then she got married and got a job all of a sudden, bailed at the last minute. Yeah,
real
failure.
Life getting in the way, as always.
Always. And then the other guy I got, his name was Reese. I think it's pronounced Reese York, and he's actually like a professional comic artist. He's actually done some coloring for big comic book companies. I was really excited to work with him, and we had all kinds of plans, and we were doing all kinds of things. So the last frame of Flintlocke was actually kind of teasing people that, hey, we're going to change style, we're going to do a new thing. And then, the internet's weird because sometimes people just disappear off the internet, and just all of a sudden I lost contact with Reese. He didn't get back to me. I don't know what happened. He didn't return the forms so that we could pay him for the work he did. I don't know. He just disappeared. I thought, maybe he got into a car accident. I really had no idea. And that was unfortunately the kind of ignominious defeat of Flintlocke was my artist disappeared. And it turns out I believe he's okay. I did see him pop up later.
Yeah, do you think that maybe was a little bit of a blessing in disguise there? Because you know how the internet is. You've been around on it long enough to know that people really can get very, very violent regarding change. I mean, I'm sure you've seen Yahtzee Zero Punctuation. He changed his intro and the entire internet suddenly explodes with nerd rage. Do you think that maybe just keeping the same art style is probably for the best?
Yeah, I did get some nerd rage, actually. A lot of people didn't like they looked at one frame and said, don't like it. And I was just kind of blown away. I'm like, man, you haven't even got to know this guy yet. And I think his art style was different. I think it would have worked. I think people would have come around and really started to enjoy it. We could have done more with it because it would have been our own art. We really could have done all kinds of things. But people loved the screenshots, and that always kind of surprised me that crudely photoshopping a cowboy hat onto one of the characters was really, people found that really funny.
I think probably some of the funniest stuff is the stuff that you are closest to and you see on an everyday basis. A lot of comedians do use that as a kind of technique. So I suppose that must work for some people.
Yeah, and you can absolutely relate to the characters because there they are. That's exactly what you see in games. So, yeah.
Well, let's talk about the WoW fan scene in general then, because certainly you're not the only comic out there. In fact, there are loads of them. There's loads of comics, fanfics, all kinds of things. Heck, we even managed to find a radio station. Now, why do you think it is that WoW, more than any other game, seems to spawn these fan-created products? I mean, is it just the sheer number of players, or is there something else at work there, do you think?
Well, it's definitely the sheer number of players. I mean, that kind of bubbles things to the top. I think another big thing, and not a lot of people talk about this, is that World of Warcraft is so abstract It's not trying to be photorealistic. It's very cartoony in a lot of ways. That just makes it feel more creative. It feels like you can do more with it. It feels like more artists can play with it because it's not trying to be photorealistic. It's not trying to be EverQuest 2. If you tried to do an EverQuest 2 comic, you'd basically have to try and draw photorealistic. Or you wouldn't feel like EverQuest 2, right? Of course, yeah. Yeah, but with World of Warcraft, it kind of I don't know. It feels artsy. I think there's more creative people can kind of latch onto because it's not real. Yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah, that's good. I like that. That sounds very intelligent. I think you came off very.
It's important to sound intelligent, regardless.
Yeah, exactly. Just bluff it. Go for it. Now, do you actually read any other WoW comics, or have you read any in the past? Maybe taking some inspiration.
I'm always scared to read other comics because then I might, if I post something that's similar, everyone will jump down my throat. There's been a couple that I've trolled through. Now I'm blanking on the name of one of my favorites, which is killing me. Had the Shadow Priest burning orphanages.
That was Looking for Group, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yes, LFG. Yeah. LFG was pretty good.
Yeah.
I liked LFG
that was a lot of fun. So, are you still an active WoW player?
I am, yeah, actually.
Well, what do you play?
Let's see. So the characters in the strip are, my main characters. So Flintlocke is an actual character. Yeah, if you go on Uther, you'll see a level 70 Flintlocke running around. Oh, wow. Yeah, he's obviously a warrior, and a poorly played warrior most of the time. And then my other main is a Horde Shadow Priest, and I'm cruising him through the Outlands right now. Let's see. Of course, you got to have a Huntard. So I got a level 45 hunter cruising around, and a few others at level 20 or 30. I play socially. I don't really power level through it. So a lot of times I have people over to my house. We have a LAN party, and we just hang out. So I don't necessarily power through the game, and there'll be a couple gaps where I don't play for a couple months, and then I get back into it. So.
It seems like the best way to go, really. The last thing you want to do is burn out and end up hating the game.
No, exactly, and I see a lot of that. I don't know. I guess a lot of like the hardcore fans are sometimes the harshest on the game, and I'm like, dude, you play 30 hours a week. How can you say you hate the game?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe I think half of it is maybe that they're just a little bit too harsh and they expect the world, and then the other half is that they just want the game that they spend so much time in to be better, and that's their way of showing it. We kind of do it quite a bit, and I think Blizzard's got the idea, but yeah, some people are just downright unpleasant, considering they're supposed to love the game.
It's a very, very, any MMO is a very, very complex beast, so if you spend enough time with it, you're going to see all the little flaws, and I think, to Blizzard's credit, and I think we're going to talk about this later, they do a good job of addressing the kind of things a hardcore gamer would complain about, while at the same time addressing the things that a casual player really wants to see. They kind of try and keep both audiences happy, and maybe not everybody's totally pleased, but I think they do a pretty good job of spreading the love.
Yeah, I think so. Well, someone in your position must be exposed to a lot of different MMOs, so why are you sticking with WoW?
I stick with it in the sense that I'm still playing it, but I jump around. I play a lot of games, and I call it, quote unquote work. And sorry, honey, I got to work tonight. So I played a lot of. Well, you named the MMO, and I played it for a while. So I'm pretty picky, though. I played Conan for a few weeks. It wasn't really for me. I played Pirates of the Burning Sea for a couple of months. I really enjoyed that, but it's also not too long before you plumb the depths of that game, and then you kind of move on. Similar with Tabula Rasa. I really love Tabula Rasa, but I got a real City of Heroes vibe from it, in that it was really fun for a while, but then it was kind of repetitive, so you didn't really get drawn into it. But yeah, I play a lot of things. Playing the Warhammer beta right now.
Yeah, join the club. Yeah. Although I don't think we're supposed to talk about that, are we?
No, I was going to say I can't really give details, unfortunately. But actually, we were allowed to blog about that on Gamespy. We did get a little... so you can read our Gamespy's opinions of it, and some of my opinions are on there, too, if you go to Gamespy.com. Look at the plug! Look how I worked that right in!
Oh, yes. Plug it right in there. Let's get it done. Now, what do you think it's going to take to knock WoW off its pedestal? And aside from Warhammer, are there any MMOs coming up that you think might be up to that challenge?
Well, realistically, knocking it off its pedestal, I don't think that a product could come out that would make 10 million people start unsubscribing. I think if you look at any games, and just look at the history of MMO games, Ultima Online, did anything knock it off its pedestal? Well, EverQuest came out, and that got a lot of fans, but it's not like Ultima ever had a precipitous drop in subscribers. You know, it's the real question is, when will WoW hit its peak, and then when will it start trailing off? That's a good question. I guess we could kind of scratch our beards on that one for a while, but I don't think any game will knock it off its pedestal. I think some game will come along and it's going to get a lot of attention. Some game maybe going to get 2-3 million players, and then everybody will think of that as the game, and the hardcore players might think of that as the game, and everybody for years since will be surprised to look at WoW and say, "Wow, they still have 7 million players. How did that happen?" Still have it, you know. WoW is old news. It's, well, sure, it has 5 million players playing, but it's old. It's 10 years old. You know. Do you know that Ultima Online still has over 100,000 people?
Oh yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's not even counting the private shards that are running all over the place.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's probably might even double the number. But yeah, so if you look at that, I mean, we can go 10 years in the future. With 2014, WoW will be 10 years old, and if you look at it as a percentage of its peak, it'll still have, even if it peaked right now, it would still have 5 million players in 2014. Absolutely. That just blows my mind.
Yeah, it's a bit crazy, isn't it? Now,
and I don't think it's peaked. So.
Yep, you may be right there. Now, after the break, we will be trying to get as much secret information about what's coming up in Flintlocke and your other projects as possible from you, then taking some listener questions. But I believe you've got a track for us today, one of your personal favorites.
Absolutely. I think this one is the dropped in to see what condition my condition was in.
Yep.
Is that right? Yeah. So this one's from the Big Lebowski soundtrack, and I know you guys were listening to death metal before the show started. There's a total change of pace, but believe it or not, it's, of all people, it's Kenny Rogers singing about like a total drug alcohol bender, and I'm like, what? This is Kenny Rogers? It's fun. It's a fun one.
Absolutely. This is Kenny Rogers, just dropped in, and we'll be right back after this with more Fargo than you can possibly imagine. You're listening to the archive recording of Blue Plz. Music was removed due to copyright reasons. If you'd like to hear the live music, then tune in live at 5:30 EST. That's 10:30 British Standard Time on Fridays at wcradio.com. My name is TotalBiscuit, and I'm the station owner of WoW Radio, and this is a public service announcement. Over the past few months, we've received a number of complaints from concerned mothers. Each time, the complaint is the same. Their son or daughter appears to have come down with a mysterious illness. Doctors are calling it savage fever. Its symptoms are many and varied. Those afflicted believe they're part of some crazed virtual world where RPG, RTS, FPS, and deadly melee combat combine into a clearly impossible gaming scenario. They've also been known to spout random phrases at inopportune social moments, including asking random passers-by if they're like bears with lasers, and breaking into random wicked guitar solos in the middle of the street before making explosion noises and overly dramatic hand gestures. Thankfully, this overly awesome illness now has a cure in the form of giant friggin' bats! Savage 2 is like the game you never thought could happen. If you like RTS, RPG, FPS, melee combat, squad play, siege warfare, base building, shape-shifting, wings that are like a shield of steel, and breathing acid in your enemy's face, then S2 Games has the game for you. Savage 2 is a unique team-based multiplayer title, perhaps one of the most innovative ever created, and better yet, it's only $19.99. Grab it from s2games.com or add it to your Steam collection. Isn't it about time you caught Savage Fever? Yes, indeed, folks. The sounds of Kenny Rogers, not something that usually graces, quote-unquote, my stream, something of a metal man myself. My name's TotalBiscuit. This is my show, Blue Plz, and we have the one and only special guest in the form of Fargo.
Hey. You know, it occurs to me we didn't give away the URL to Flintlocke. If people go to gamespy.com/Flintlocke, FLINTLOCKE, they'll get the last comic in the strip, and then they can click the beginning button and go check it out.
And they'll be there for weeks, by the looks of it. The amount of archives you've got there is quite crazy.
There's hundreds of pages.
Excellent. So if you're bored at work or anywhere else, in fact, that would be the place to go. Go check out Flintlocke so that you know what the hell we're talking about. Does generally help when you're about 15 minutes into the interview. Now, I have some questions, and I'm sure you are very eager to divulge some information about what is coming up. So I'm just going to leave the floor open to you. I'm going to let you spill your guts for everyone here and tell them what's coming up, particularly on the 1st of September.
Yeah, so September 1st, we're unleashing a new comic, and again, it's done with in-game screenshots and model viewer art from World of Warcraft. And a lot of sort of the most requested thing I got was people wanted a Horde comic. I mean, Flintlocke was all about the Alliance, and we all know they're weenies and midgets. We don't like them. None of us do. So, what's coming September 1st is a comic strip that I'm calling Flintlocke versus the Horde, and we're really kind of looking at the whole thing from the Horde's perspective now, and meeting some characters there. One thing I always try and do with the comics is the characters in the comics are really kind of represent the different types of people that play the game, the different types of people that you run across with when you play the game, and how they interact with the game world. And so I really try and bring that into the characters in the strip. So you'll see, you'll meet the power gamer. You'll meet our main character, who's actually trying desperately to role play. He wants to stick within the world and really role play an orc. And of course, what I find a lot of humor in is I put people together in a group in the strip that would never ever adventure together in real life. The types of players that you saw in Flintlocke, Flintlocke and Bloodrose and the Doc. They would never play together for more than 5 minutes. They'd just be on each other's nerves, and that's kind of actually where a lot of the humor comes from. In fact, one of the characters in the original strip was a Chinese gold farmer who wasn't actually at his keyboards. He was just running scripts and macros entirely. He was one of the most popular characters, even though he was never actually at his keys. So I'm really going to be exploring that from the Horde perspective. Got a few new player types. There's some people that you're going to kind of recognize as your friends. You're going to see that.
Excellent. Now, we've got some listener questions, so are you ready
Cool.
for some quick-fire question action?
Yeah, I really want to do this live so I can talk to people.
Excellent. Right, well, we've got some questions coming in, and if you want to ask a question, get in IRC. That's irc.mmoirc.com, hash or pound, depending on which country you happen to be, WoW Radio, or click the chat button at the top of our screen, wcradio.com. You've got a little bit of time. You can message them to MT, Cooked Auto, or Zephyric on IRC. Now, here's our starter for 10. This is from Thurin. This is a question for Fargo. Do you still actively play Flintlocke, and will we be seeing him in Northrend?
You'll absolutely be seeing Flintlocke and Northrend. I guess the only question is, can I get my Horde up to level 70 in time to before the expansion, or am I going to play as Flintlocke? Yeah, I haven't played Flintlocke for the last few weeks because I kind of been focused on my Horde characters because, hey, they're the subject of the new comic. But yeah, he's on the Uther server, and he'll probably pop in. And actually, one of the more fun things about when I actually play is people either yell at me for not being original with my name, which I get a kick out of, or they say, "Are you the Flintlocke?" And then I get to say yes, which is awesome.
Yeah, been there with "Are you the Total Halibut?" But I think we'll go into that later. Right, here we go. We've got one from Effigy. Are the characters in the comic inspired by real players or their characters, or are there any funny stories to do with these choices? So I'm guessing it's about the personalities of the characters rather than the actual models.
Yeah, absolutely. So originally, I mean, I didn't know how long I would do the comic. It just sort of started as a one-off thing that eventually turned into a feature. But, the original characters were all my friends from the LAN parties. The fellow who played as the Doc, as the priest in the original Flintlocke, he actually works for Blizzard nowadays. He's a pretty important guy at Blizzard, which is kind of cool. And they didn't really play that way. I just sort of took an aspect of their personality and made it into a whole character. So the girl who plays Bloodrose in our group, she's a power gamer, I'd say so. Maybe not quite to that extreme. Certainly when the guy played our priest, he did not run away from every battle, but that just struck me as being funny. If that was kind of the core of the characters, every time he tried to heal us, well, we were terrible players for a long time. He would cast a heal, and all the monsters would aggro on him and just destroy him. And we would stand there going, "Wow, look, he just got killed." I wasn't a very good tank, frankly. Okay. Right, and so, but we made that part. The blessing in disguise there was that just became a great element for the comic strip. If a priest just is afraid to heal anything. And that became the core of his character. He sent me an email after one of the strips ran. He's like, "Are you mad at me?" And I'm like, "No, dude, it's not you. It's just a character. It's not really you." But yeah, so Yeah, there are in a lot of the cases, there are real people behind that. There's no real person behind low ping, which I guess is part of the appeal.
Well, yeah,
low
that's
ping.
sort of the gag, isn't it?
Yeah, low ping being the guy who's played entirely through scripts and macros, but there you go.
Fair enough. Now, I've got a question from Dusk, and he says, how do you feel about being immortalized in the Burning Crusade with the Flintlocke's piloting pants from Hellfire?
That was fantastic. Actually, there was a series of episodes in Flintlock where he's flying a dirigible out of control and crashing it. So the fact that you got Flintlock's piloting pants at the dirigible crash site just really warmed my heart. It meant that somebody somewhere was paying attention. I really loved that. Yeah, it's fun to go on to Thoughtbot and see how many people caught on to the reference and Thoughtbot or Wowhead or any of the sites. And yeah, I thought that was fantastic. I really that just made me smile ear to ear when Flintlock got his pants are famous.
Yes, I mean,
and they're good pants too.
Really, it's kind of like a life achievement there. Now, we've got a question here from Zandrodus, and he says, "Where did you get the idea for the Chuck shot?"
The Chuck shot. Oh, I wish I could say I was walking along someday and saw somebody firing a woodchuck out of a musket, but it just doesn't happen that way. I'm not really sure where I came up with the idea.
You stole it from a book, didn't you?
What's that?
You stole it from a book, didn't you? Just like my name.
Yeah. I'm sure animals have been launched out of cannons in all the great works of literature since the beginning of time. I can't say where I came up with it. It just seemed like something Flintlock would do, because he's a warrior who acts like a hunter. What would he do? He would launch animals out of a cannon. Of course he would. He's a dwarf. That's exactly what he does. And it would be immensely offensive to the Night Elf character, I thought, to fire animals out of a cannon, which, of course, is just part of the fun.
Absolutely. Now, question from Gimbal here. What is your favorite character in the entire series?
Well, it's a Sophie's Choice right there. Look at that cultural reference. Look at that. That was an Academy Award-winning movie. I elevated the whole show with that, didn't I?
Yeah, that went straight over my head. It was great. I felt the breeze.
Good. I think for me it's probably Schweitzer, the name of the priest, because he goes through such a change throughout the series. I mean, he starts off as one thing, and when that joke got old, they kind of took him in a new direction, and man, by the end of the show, you can do anything with that character, and people, it would just work. He was cracking me up by the end. He gets a disproportionate share of the punchlines, I think, because there was so much I could do with him. So he probably turned out to be my favorite.
Excellent. Now, I've got one from Trox here, and he says, you seem to understand dwarves pretty well, beards, booze, and explosions. Are you a role player in-game?
Yeah, it's so hard to roleplay in World of Warcraft. I mean, I guess you have RP servers, and I haven't really joined them. That might be a lot of fun to try sometime. But it's really hard to stay in character because so much of the game is about the game mechanics, and nobody around you is staying in character. So you really can't. Once you start, I mean, I occasionally type little when I talk to other players. Kind of, there's a little bit of a dwarvish thing kind of creeps in. Oh, that kind of thing. But beyond that, I mean, there really isn't a whole lot to do. Now, I guess I do roleplay in the fact that I just blow stuff up when it's absolutely inappropriate. I mean, when the monster's almost dead, I'm dropping the biggest bomb, and it's possibly killing other players if it's like a goblin landmine. I'm just doing it anyway because I just love it. So.
Excellent. Now, you might be aware of a very special event that we've been doing over the past couple of weeks, and it goes by the name of the Pass the Torch contest. And I'm to understand that you're going to help us pick the winners today.
I think I am. I'm going to go to that website you just sent me right now.
Yep. We have this is a kind of an English reference. We have a web tombola here.
A tombola?
Yes, a tombola. It sounds Mexican, but it really isn't. It's like this really large roll thing. It's like a tube which is sealed, and you put all the entries in it, and you have a handle on the side of it, and you turn it around, and you make it spin, and then you stick your hand in it, and you pick out the entries. So it's like a web version of that, only not quite as interesting. It's great. Now, there are 20 WWI cards to give away, so there are going to be 20 winners, and we have a phrase, a secret phrase that we've been giving out over the past couple of weeks. We've spread it out over a number of shows, and there are a load of people who got it right, several thousand in fact, and the phrase was, Wrath of Khan is epic, and I've been told that you can do a very good Khan, Fargo.
Who told you that?
I don't know. I think Sluggo did it. Blame him.
I'm still at work right now, so I'm going to shout Khan, and then people are going to come running to my office to fire the torpedoes, right?
Sounds good.
Right. You gotta cue me in. You gotta go buried alive, buried alive,
buried alive, buried alive.
Con!
That's not bad. I'll give you that. I give that a good solid 4 out of 5 there.
Okay, good. I mean, that's because I'm competing with Emmy Award-winning William Shatner, and that's very difficult.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right, now we have some winners for you.
Sluggo is sending me IMs right now. He's like, WTF. What just happened over there?
It's probably best not to say anything. Right, now, we've got these contestants here, so I'm going to pick the first one. We're going to go backwards and forwards until we've done 20. Okay? So cool. I'm going to announce the first one, and the winner of the first WWI card is Scott Forleone, I believe. Yes, that is Scott Forleone, and of course the answer to that is Wrath of Khan is epic. So, next winner, over to you, Fargo.
All right, now, this fellow, he got it. Wrath of Khan is epic. Michael Shannon.
Excellent. That's a
Michael Shannon. Now, do I click on valid here so he wins?
Yes, you do. Click on valid so he wins. Don't click the other button. Good. That's a good idea
okay.
at all.
Mike, you're in good shape.
Absolutely. Now, the next winner is Mike Weber with Wrath of Khan is epic. Very well done to Mike Weber.
Then we have David Cutler. Good job, David. I'm clicking the valid button.
Yeah, you do that. Be nice to him, absolutely. Now, the next winner we have is a Ryan... I can't pronounce this at all, so I'm going to give it a try. Ryan Lamacher. And the start of his email address is iced tea is good.
Nice.
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
I think iced tea. All right, next up we got Steve Cox. Congratulations, Steve Cox.
Excellent. And next up we have Jared Corbett. Very well done to Jared Corbett.
Then we got Ross West.
Excellent. That's a
nice
Ross
job.
West on there. And the next one, I'm going to try and suppress a giggle because this is very immature. Daniel Cockrum.
Look, I kept a straight face for Steve Cox. Certainly.
Yes, Cockrum, very well done to you.
All right. And this guy gets bonus points because he said Wrath of Khan is epic. Epic was in all caps. That's Billy Lewis. Billy Lewis. Epic.
Very well done. And we've got one from Scott Hertzberg. Wrath of Khan is epic. Very well done to you.
Wow, I hope I pronounce this right. It's Joachim Norster. Norstr? Yeah.
Wow, that's
Norster?
Fancy stuff there. We've got a very cosmopolitan listenership right now.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, excellent. Next one coming up, it's Ed Hill. Ed Hill, congratulations. You are the winner of a WWI card.
Okay, Total Biscuit, I guess, how come you get the name Ed Hill and I get the name...
Go on, give it a try.
Wojciech Tomaszewski.
What?
Tomaszewski. Wojciech Tomaszewski. Dude, you are epic, and I'm clicking valid right now. You're in, and now we can all see your name.
Oh, that's great. And we have a Matthew McMullen as a winner. Congratulations to you.
All right. Are we still drawing? How are we doing?
We are. Let's see what we're on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. We've got 5 more to go.
5 more to go. One of those lucky 5 is Miguel Couto. Or Couto. I'm sorry, Miguel Silva. I was reading his email because I'm a moron. Miguel Silva! Oh, he's got a strange email. Go figure. All right, he's valid, though.
Excellent. Bartok Kozuk, I believe, with a KSOK. Very well done to you.
Shannon von Zerpolo. Wow, this is a cosmopolitan list. This is fantastic.
Is that a real name? Because that's like
Shannon von Zerpolo.
That's excellent. I want him to have a cape and a count to live in a castle somewhere.
That's definitely a supervillain.
Absolutely. And our next one is Mark Edge, who sounds like a bit of an action hero there.
All right. Am I drawing another one here?
One more, I think.
One more. All right. Dennis Jensen.
Dennis Jensen. Excellent.
And his email is Hands on Fire.
Hands on Fire?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
He is on
fire. And I think that is it, to be honest. And if we missed one more, then I'll announce it towards the end of the show. We'll get it sorted out. We're not very good at counting here on WoW Radio. We're just good at being incredibly talented and charismatic.
Dennis Jensen would be number 20.
Yes, he would.
Yeah.
And I think we're pretty much done, aren't we?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Henry. Your name was drawn 21st.
Oh, don't say the second name.
I'd not say the second name, yeah, but to all Henrys out there.
Yes, indeed. Okay, guys, thank you very much for entering, and thank you, Fargo, for appearing on the show today. Any last-minute shout-outs before we end?
No, that was a lot of fun. Word to all my homies on Uther. Can I say homies on the air?
Yeah, we'll go with that. Excellent. Coming up after the break, I don't have time for anything else except to play Nubcake News, and I will be singing a song, I kid you not. I will be singing a song written by our one and only Terpster, and it's called Wow Pros, to the tune of Nickelback's Rockstar. So we'll be right back after this with some Nubcake News and a song, and that'll be the end of the show, folks. Again, Fargo, thank you very, very much for coming on the air. You're listening to Blue Plz. My name is TotalBiscuit.
Sweet.
That was the one and only Fargo, and this is Iron Maiden. You're listening to the archive recording of Blue Plz. Music was removed due to copyright reasons. If you'd like to hear the live music, then tune in live at 5:30 EST. That's 10:30 British Standard Time on Fridays at wcradio.com. Live from the Blue Plz Tower in Howling Fjord, it's Nubcake News with award-winning anchor TotalBiscuit, bringing you all the news that matters, whether you realize it or not. Welcome to Nubcake News. I am TotalBiscuit, and this is my receding hairline. Devilishly handsome, is it not? Our top story tonight is the crisis sweeping the nation as our class education system goes the way of the dodo. With the details, here's our educational correspondent, TotalBiscuit. Does that mean you're actually educational or merely reporting on education? Well, we like to think that it's a little from column A and a little from column tree. That's B. Clearly you simply misheard. No, I'm pretty sure you said tree. Exactly, tree, as I was saying. There are growing concerns that the standard of class education throughout the United States of Azeroth is sliding down a very slippery slope indeed, and not the fun kind with the bikini babes and the baby oil either. Among the many examples of failure are the entire rogue class, shamans who think they could tank, and everyone who ever bothered to take armor smithing. Well, that sounds perfectly normal. What exactly has changed? To answer that question, I'll be turning to Senior Professor Dr. TotalBiscuit from the University of Fail. Isn't that Yale? Not if you believe Harvard. I take it you graduated magna cum laude in Fail. Why, yes. Why do you ask? No reason. Mr. Braxkit, do we have you on the line? Why, yes, we do. So, TotalBiscuit, would you mind walking us through the problems facing our class education in the World of Warcraft today? Well, it's quite clear that young players simply don't know what to do with themselves anymore. When I was growing up, we knew exactly the role we were supposed to play. Warriors tanked instances, mages made water, priests healed, rogues spent all day hanging around in Stranglethorn Vale. Everyone accepted their lot in life and just got on with it. We didn't have any of these flim-flam, wannabe hybrid courses. You had a good solid major minor, and that was it. You could respect that kind of thing. These days, when you look at a class, you don't even have any idea what they're supposed to be doing. And what would you say has caused this to happen? Well, I put the blame squarely on community class colleges. They are directly responsible for the erosion of the higher education system. More guilty than any is that accursed Death Knight you. Death Knight me? No, you! Have you seen their commercials? What a debaucherous, disgraceful establishment. Sounds like fun. Let's roll the tape. No, wait, don't do that. Sorry, Doc. You can't spell TotalBiscuit without a bit of TNA. Look, will you stop pressing that button? Are you bored? Frustrated? Not sure what to do in the confusing World of Warcraft? Don't worry, because we're just like you. Aimless, ill-defined, and completely redundant. Yes, indeed, folks, this is Death Knight U, where you can party on down with people like you, because who needs anybody else? Here at Death Knight U, we don't restrict you to those boring major minor courses that teach you how to do things and how to play your class. We let you do everything. Want a tank? No problem. Want to heal? Sure. Want a DPS? Knock yourself out. Here at Death Knight U, we'll let you do everything in the most slovenly manner imaginable. And after the sun goes down, it's time to party hard. Yes, here at Death Knight U, we have the hottest, or should I say the coldest chicks. Gnomes, Draenei, Blood Elves, Orcs, and especially Tauren. Frigid women by the thousands. Say, is it cold in here? Why, yes it is. Our entire campus is situated inside a glacier. Because everyone here is too cool for school. Enroll in Death Knight U today, because Lord knows we really need another hybrid class. So, all these bright young graduates have landed prestigious positions in top-tier raids, I presume? Well, not exactly. It seems 99.9% of them end up working at Taurenberger. Damn it, they lied to me. They claimed they were always fresh, never frozen. Well, I guess that's just one of life's little disappointments for you, TB. Like your face. What? This has been Nubcake News. Good night. Yes, indeed, folks. You're tuned into Blue Plz, and I am pretty much done for the day, folks. I am out of time. Now, coming up straight after this, you will get the one and only Wow Things Considered with Duncore and Cadwellium. Feel free, check out the rest of our website, wcradio.com, if you listened to and missed some of. You see, that's an overly complicated sentence. I shouldn't have been bothered with it. If you missed any of the show, you can listen back again. Our archive will be available on iTunes, as are the rest of our back catalogue, so check us out on iTunes, check us out at wcradio.com, and listen to the rest of our shows. Feel free to post on our forums, get involved in our IRC community, and if you like what we're doing here, donations are always appreciated. Check the donate button to the bottom left of the screen on wcradio.com. My name has been TotalBiscuit. Thank you very much for listening. Congratulations to our winners, and this is a Terpster song, written by Terpster, sung by me, unfortunately. It's TotalBiscuit sings a Terpster song. It's Wow Pros. My name's been TotalBiscuit. This has been Blue Plz. Good night. I'm done with signing up for raids. I'll never get in. When it comes to DKP, I'm never gonna win. I think PvE just ain't the game for me. I want some brand new gear with a load of stats, and to two short players, hear them cry like brats, and that will mark the start of my winning streak. I'll need a buff to all my spells and skills, a bag full of tokens and more honor kills, to lead the BGs with my awesome plan. I wanna be the best in the whole of WoW, but with as little effort as the game allows. Like to win jewels while I'm sitting on the can. I'm gonna scavenge BG wins like a rabbit hyena, and then form a team and hit the arena. Cause we just wanna be big WoW pros, clad in purple gear with my night elf hose. Spend my queues being inspected by you. 10 games a week and you can have it too. And we'll have the pimpest gear. I said a season 8 before it is here. Raking in the points, we have it made. Can't lose out to spot, we'll just win trade. And hey, I wanna be a WoW pro. Hey, I wanna be a WoW pro. I'm gonna name my team the whole nights long, with King Lols a lot and his huge E-schlong, cruising on my Drake when we're in the top percent. Well, what I'm saying, this ain't just a mini game. This is real esports, my one chance for fame. Gonna go to BlizzCon and win the whole event. I'm gonna work real hard till I can't be beat. Well, just kidding, I'll find a way to cheat. Cause we just wanna be big WoW pros, clad in purple gear with my blood elf hose. Spend my queues being inspected by you. 10 games a week and you can have it too. And we'll have the pimpers gear. I said a season 8 before it is here. Raking in the points, we have it made. Can't lose our top spot cause we'll just win trade. And we'll have fanboys on all the realms wanting my rating so they can get their helms. I'll get interviewed by all the sites asking how I just keep winning all the fights. Well, hey, I wanna be a WoW pro. So I made ninja gear from the anti-raiders, and they cry about it like a bunch of first graders. But I'll sit on my mount in the middle of town, getting so many tells that I might just drown. Cause we just wanna be big WoW pros, clad in purple gear with my Tauren hose. Spend my queues being inspected by you. 10 games a week and you can have it too. And we'll have all the pimpers gear. I said a season 8 before it is here. Raking in the points, we have it made. Can't lose our top spot, cause we'll just win trade. And we'll have fanboys on all the rails wanting my rating so they can get their helms. I'll get interviewed by all the sites asking, how is it? I've never lost a fight. Well, hey, I wanna be a WoW pro. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hey, I wanna be a WoW pro. You have been listening to the podcast and archive of Blue Plz, a show exclusive to WoW Radio. All WoW Radio shows are originally broadcast live, and you can listen to this one on Fridays at 5:30 EST, that's 10:30 British Standard Time at wcradio.com. Your support is appreciated, and donations are always welcome via PayPal at wowradiodonations@gmail.com or via the donation button on our website. We appreciate your feedback. Feel free to review our shows on iTunes, rate us,